Hi, I'm Sandra.
Hi, I'm Triffany, and we're friends. Every time we get together, we have these crazy, awesome insights about manifesting, life, synchronicity.
And one day I said, it's too bad we didn't record this because somebody out there could have benefited from hearing this.
And that's how this began.
We never know what we're going to talk about, but when we do and the magic happens, we want to share it with you.
Okay, we're live.
All right.
Woohoo!
Hi.
How are you?
Well, better than you. I'm so sorry you're not feeling well.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
I can't tell if it's just detoxing with the change of the seasons or if it's barometric or what, but everybody I know, well, I had it last week. Peyton had it early last week, and you've got it. I don't know what's going on, but everybody's struggling with whatever this is. And I don't know about you, but it knocked me out.
It hasn't knocked me out yet because I've been really putting up a good fight.
You're one tough man.
But I certainly wish I had a day where I could just stay in bed and not move.
Yeah. When does your ex take the kids?
Not until Thursday.
Oh. By then you'll have kicked it in its butt. You'll be fine by then.
Absolutely. I am juicing and taking vitamins and all of that. So we'll see.
Good.
Anyway, our last broadcast got cut off just as we were talking about the core of the law of attraction.
I know, it was just getting good and my battery died. Stupid technology.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Stuart Wilde?
The name sounds familiar.
Well, I think he's fantastic. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he was very big on metaphysics and did a lot of things that would be considered miracles. Not like the Jesus kind of miracles, but like, miracles in the sense of metaphysics. And so he's got this book that you can actually listen to on YouTube called Miracles. And I just happened to, somebody else was had broadcasted his live audio under a totally different name that I just started listening to, and I was like, oh yeah, this is Stuart Wilde. I haven't listened to it in a while. So if you ever get a chance, just listen to it. If you could find his recorded audiobook called Miracles. Really fascinating stuff.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll check that out for sure. When did he pass? Like, what's the era that he wrote all this in?
Like in our time frame. He passed away maybe, 2016? I think he passed away. Not like I can't be sure exactly when he passed, but I remember hearing one of the recordings that was done in memory of him talked about when he passed away, and I was like, oh my God, that's just a couple years ago. And
yeah, it's amazing how many people have figured this out and taught it, figured it out and taught it, figured it out and taught it over the course of the year. I mean, Florence Scull Shinn.
Over the course of centuries. Like the Egyptians knew about it, and then it got lost, and
millennia. Yeah, absolutely. Florence Scull Shinn is the earliest I've ever read, and she was she died mid-19th century. I'm trying to remember. I know she was married to some preacher guy, and the fact that she wrote a book was like, oh, women didn't write books, but she wrote really well on the subject matter, and a lot of her stuff is very much in line with what you would see written today. Like, you would be surprised to know that she wrote this so long ago. And I think it's one of those things we've just got to be willing to just keep trying it on, just keep experimenting, see how it feels when you try it. If you to the point you were making last week, yeah, you can get to this place of working toward detachment, of being present, and yet that ego wants to replace it with something. Okay, so in that practice of being present, you identified that. If you didn't just keep coming after it, you wouldn't know what that feels like. You wouldn't know what any of it feels like. And I think we could talk about it all day long. I think we could write about it all day long. But until people are really willing to sort of like get messy with it and get in the sandbox and goof around and try it, I don't know that there's any way to just like download it to people. Do you?
No, they have to experience it. Yeah, I was trying to think about, I read her book and I was trying to think about the title of the book. I think it was called The Game of Life and How to Play It.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. She wrote two. She wrote that one, and The Game of Life and How to Play It was the one I was thinking of. But she did write two, and I've read them both. But they're similar. If you read one, you got the point of the other. Like, you're not missing anything if you didn't catch the second one. But
what was the other one called?
What's that?
What was the other one called?
I can't remember. I'd have to look it up to know for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. I was like, oh my God, that's kind of how, when she talks about, the people that she worked with and everything. And I'm like, that's kind of how I'm modeling my private practice.
I know, isn't it great? And what's so cool about that? I don't know how long ago you read it. I read it years ago before I was coaching, before my certification. I had no idea that, really what I was reading could be a model for some of what I'm doing. And I don't coach necessarily based on law of attraction. I mean, certainly if I know about it, it informs some of my practice, and some of the exercises I teach people, works in that vein. But even though it's not specifically law of attraction stuff, it's funny to think that in that really faithful place that she talks about, that really trusting and that surrendered place.
Yeah, definitely.
I was even on my, in my future when I read the books. I think it's really cool to watch it all unfold. And gosh, isn't that, I didn't back then, but I stayed present, and look at what.
Exactly.
Friggin' amazing.
Yeah, what other books would we recommend to people? I know I totally would recommend. Oh, I think I talked about this in one of our last ones. Michael Singer. His two books,
you've mentioned him.
The Untethered Soul and The Surrender Experiment, are really good. I think they're great books for people who don't know about enlightenment and going with the flow of life. I think it's a really wonderful, easy to follow, easy to understand introduction to all of that. Yeah,
I need to look him up. I haven't read anything by him. What's her last name? Pam, is it Grout? She wrote the E2 and the E, or the E squared and the E.
Yeah, we were doing that together for a while.
Yes, those are fun experiments, and it is so cool how they work. And I love that it's practical. It's not theory. It's that get in the sandbox, right? Like, it is the rules of the game, and here's how you go play with it. It's pretty freaking cool. Did you
We'll have to do that again, because I didn't really feel like the exercises were really all working for me.
Oh, and you're in such a different place. That was years ago. You're in a totally different place now. I bet they would work. Did you ever do the one with the metal hangers, like the divining rods with the?
I've seen that happen before. Yes.
I have them. I have them in my office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it works. It's pretty cool. Like, if you want something that's going to build your faith that you have, that your thoughts control thing, you want something that does that. There's nothing more physically manifested than that exercise in her book. What is her last name? I don't feel like I have it right.
I don't know. I think you're right. It is something like Grout
or Groot or something.
Yeah.
Like that. But it's E squared.
So,
yeah.
So would that be your number one recommendation? Or is
gosh, I love the Intention Experiment.
Which one?
The Intention Experiment. It's written.
Is that the name of the book?
Yes, the name of the book is The Intention Experiment. And it's written by, oh shoot, it's not Carolyn Mace. That's the name that's coming to mind. Lynn McTaggart who wrote that. And really what it is, she put together the chronology of sort of where this metaphysical world met actual science, and how science started to toy around with experimenting quantifiably with some of these ideas back in the 40s and 50s.
I'll have to write that down. It's called The Intention Experiment?
The Intention Experiment. And she wrote another one called The Flow, which I have not.
Uh-huh.
I have not read. And then anything by Marianne Williamson. She's fantastic. Of course, she's more A Course in Miracles, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same. It's the same. It's all about connecting with your divinity and trusting that you're being led to what you're meant to be led to, and really living in this completely peaceful place of flow and ease and grace. And yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, I'm still practicing. I don't always get it right, but gosh, I know that when I'm in that space, everything works out so much better than it does if I think I'm in control, you know?
Yeah. I think my number one book recommendation would be The Biology of Belief by
I
Bruce
still
Lipton.
haven't read that. It's
Oh my
on the
gosh.
top of my
You know
list.
what? Get it a book on CD, because he will talk. He's the one who narrate. It's not like they hired a separate speaker to narrate the book. So I swear to God, I've listened to it 2 or 3 times, and I think, oh man, if I had a science teacher like him, I totally would have been fascinated by science. He's amazing at being able to break down what could be a complex subject into something that's entertaining and easy to learn. And it's
That was such a gift.
fascinating, but it's fascinating. I mean, he breaks down from the cellular level to the grander level, basically how the world works.
Well, you're not the
Yeah.
only person to recommend it to me. I've heard that title again and again and again, and I cannot believe I haven't read it yet. But I've got a list a mile long and a stack a mile high. So
Exactly. I know, right? It's
Yeah.
like, how do you have time to read all these books and raise kids and run a household and work? And that's why I do the books on CD. I'm like, at least if I'm in the car, I'm getting something.
Yeah, there you go. I don't have any long commutes anymore, which is nice. And then, of course, today Peyton turns 16, so I'll have
Today's her birthday?
Yes.
Happy birthday!
Oh, she's so excited. I can't believe it. It's crazy to me. But I'll have even less drive time now that she's going to be carting herself around to places. But yeah, whole different era in our household starting. Well, I mean, today's her birthday, but she won't get her license until the 16th. So we've got a little bit of leeway because they have to have their permit for a whole year now. Did you know that?
No, but it sounds like a great idea. I mean, being a New Yorker where most people didn't get their driver's license until they were in their 20s because it's really not necessary. I find it frightening, really, that 16-year-olds can drive. So I have a completely different perspective on driving altogether.
Yeah. Well, and they have to wait before they can have a non-family member in the car. So they can't be carting around their friends right away either. They've got 6 months with no non-family members, and then they've got another 6 months where they can only have one friend at a time in the car.
Oh,
so they've got to wait a whole year before they can cart around a whole car full of friends, which is I think, super smart, especially with all the distractions that friends bring, loud music and food and texting and whatever else. So, but anyway, all of that to say, if there's a value add in listening to it simply because of his energy and the way he delivers it, then that makes sense to me. But I don't have a lot of time to sit and listen either. Even when I'm cooking dinner, I've got a kid doing homework at the table, or
yeah.
That's fine. It's just where I'm at right now. Oh, and did I ever tell you about my board of directors that I use? Ever tell you this idea? So a while back, this is probably like a good 3 or 4 months ago, I was imagining what it would be like to have a board of directors where not every single decision about my business was just on me. And I thought, okay, what kind of person do I want on my board of directors? And I came up with Elizabeth Warren, Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Richard Branson. I'm trying to think who else. I came up with a good handful of people, and then I started thinking every time now that I have a decision to make, I mentally go in and I sit at the board of directors, or pull just one person and say, like Richard Branson is my new venture guy. Like I go and I have this hypothetical conversation with him from his point of view about what he would advise in this case. Like, where is the wisdom in this choice or not making this choice? So what I started to do was read their biographies. so that I can understand how they think and how they make their decisions. So I really would get what they would advise me. So I have a lot of biographies to read too.
Yeah.
That
I do sort of the same thing too, in the meditative state. Yeah. I used to do it on a regular basis, and then, and then I just, things interfere. You're tired, you just want to stay in bed and sleep, or you fall asleep in the middle of the table with your board of directors.
If you're not a single mom out there, you may not do that. But that's a real thing that happens for us. Yeah. So who's on your board of directors?
I have more spiritual people, because I kind of want to access different kinds of knowledge. So I have a woman named Saima. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's from India, and she's a spiritual healer, and she's got thousands and thousands of followers. Richard Bartlett, he's the founder of Matrix and Energetics. Oprah, of course.
She's an easy pick.
Gotta have her on my board of directors. Dane here from Access Consciousness. So I have them on my board.
That's super cool. I have a feeling, like, I just keep saying it. Anytime I see anybody retweet something from Richard Branson or post an article about Richard Branson, I'll go into the little comments and I'll say, he doesn't know it yet, but he and I are going to work on a project someday.
That's fantastic.
I would love to work with him. He has such an ingenious mind when it comes to startups, and the way that his business mind is agile. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can be agile in your thinking, but very rarely do you see it in business, because business, especially at the level that he's built them, Virgin Airlines is huge, Virgin Mobile is huge, Virgin Music was huge. And to be able to take those big mechanisms, those big machines, and try to pull them full stop and turn them and redirect them, that is really, really tough to do. And one of the main ways that he does it, he really truly listens to the people that work for him. And he's determined when he steps into the room to come in with, he's got the most to learn. Kind of like my dumbest person in the room thing I started doing, a year or two ago. And I just find that so fascinating, because you just don't see a lot of people like that. So I can totally see somewhere along the way me merging into something new, building my business in a new direction, and him moving his stuff in the same direction. And rather than reinvent the wheel, we work together. And I don't know why, but I can totally see that. And I love it. Just like, yep, we're going to work together someday.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It will be awesome.
Yes, won't it be cool? I'm like, the contracts aren't signed yet, but the deal's in the works.
Right. Right. Everything starts in the unseen, right?
That's right. Yep. You got to believe it before you're going to see it.
Exactly. All of our, and it's not like this woo-woo concept. I mean, ideas and thoughts are unseen. So everything starts from the unseen.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything that you've ever thought you could be, everything that you've ever made yourself, it had to come from this place of the mind's eye in the first place, and the belief that you could. I think the difference is, I think the biggest obstacle we have is that we're raised, whatever culture we're raised in, whatever household we're raised in, we're raised to believe that the one true way is whatever our circle, our family, our institutions told us was the right way. And that becomes the box that sort of wraps us up, and it's hard to get out of. I think the tricky thing for us as creators, as co-creators, is to stop believing in the box, right? That is one option. That box is one option, but to understand that there's your box, there's his box, there's that business's box. There's a lot of different ways to bring things forth. And I think that's one of our biggest obstacles to taking that unseen and making it seen, is believing that it's even there. Those boxes have thick walls.
Yes, they do. They do. Well, I think we should probably just end the broadcast now, because My energy level is kind of low.
Yeah, you
And I
need
think
some
we've
good.
given people a ton of recommendations that they can use to further improve their lives.
Yeah, yeah. And I hope they let us know what they're reading. I hope they give us some recommendations too. Gosh, it'd be so wonderful to see what's out there that I don't even know about, because there's a
Right?
ton of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, good.
Well,
I hope you feel better. Thanks for showing up for
thanks.
this and for everybody
Yep.
else.
Well, you know, the show must go on, right?
You're one tough cookie, Sandra.
Thanks. Thanks. All right.